Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Whovians. And yes, I still did not get a haircut yet, but I will. Eventually, I will. I might go to the shoulders, get a couple cool pictures, dressed like Jesus, and then I'll cut my hair. You know what I'm saying? For my profile picture, for Facebook and such. But I do want to say that I am excited. Got all my buddies here today. We're going to talk a little bit more of Sleep No More. Hopefully you guys tuned in yesterday for the 60-second reaction, which was exciting. Now, we had lots of mixed emotions. You had the guys that absolutely hated this episode. Some even called it crap. I think Beef Dad did. But some loved it. Okay, like Lee was one of the guys that absolutely loved it. So I'm curious over a second viewing if anybody's changed their mind on it or have any more thoughts on it, man? Because it seems to be one of these episodes that I don't know. It's kind of splitting people in two, but we're going to see how this goes. So I do want to welcome everybody here and thank you guys out there for checking us out. So today I am going to begin this with my good buddy Beef. Now, Beef, what did you think of this story?
I was disappointed, in all honesty. Mark Gatiss has usually done either very good historical ones or very good sort of mild horror ones. He's done before the Crimson Horror, which was a good historical and a bit of menace to it and everything like that. When I saw him doing a panel the other day, he said that this was a satire on capitalism. That the idea is that even your sleep is being taken away from you, it's being condensed, so you can be a more effective work machine. Aside from that just being put out blatantly, there wasn't really much satire to it. So you're losing your main mechanism, your main subtext to it, and there didn't seem to be anything for me really running under it. It seemed to be superficial. The monster, I saw it on Friday anyway, thought it looked interesting, but it was just badly explained. There were holes to it as well. I'm trying to think if there are any good points to it. Capaldi's acting in it was, stellar as ever. Reece Shearsmith is a sort of bumbling, sort of Buggles type character. If you remember Video Killed the Radio Star in the 80s. Yeah, he was good. But within the confines of what it is. It seemed to be a grand idea, but the writing really fell down, which for someone like Mark Gatiss, I found that really, really frustrating. I tried to think to myself, how could you fix this? Would it be any better as a two-part episode? Probably no, it wouldn't have done. The grunt sacrificing itself, it's a bit cliche, to be honest with you. As being the most human sacrificing itself, but it's a clone and it's only part bred and everything like that. The characters just seemed badly fleshed out. The monster wasn't adequately explained. So it just seemed lots of ideas, but the wires weren't plugging together. Maybe, I don't know, something that, I know Lee really enjoyed this one. Maybe there's something I missed. Maybe there's something the rest of the guys are going to say that's going to flick that switch for me to make all the bits of the puzzle fit together. But it doesn't. It seems like I've got all middle bits, but none of the edge pieces, to make the jigsaw analogy. So for me, it was actually quite disappointing. I don't like to crap on Doctor Who episodes because I do love the show, and there's always one that is going to not fit. But for me, I think so far it has been this one. It wasn't anything to do with the performances of the actors. It wasn't anything to do with the effects or the scenery or even the music or anything like that. It was the core writing and the idea that made it fall down. And that's why the execution just didn't come across. So for me, it was really disappointing. I've got to give it a 4, mate.
Oh, wow. All right, Beef, man. Solid 4 from Mr. Beef. All right, thank you, sir. Hopefully, Beef, if you have some pictures ready for after we're done talking, maybe you can share with us a little bit after, we're done talking about this. All right. Well, speaking of the great and powerful, awesome Lee Wilson, let's see what he has to say about this one, man. Take it away, dude.
I just want to say, I think it's a brilliant idea that the show had the balls to make an episode like this, an experiment with an episode like this. to make it, with the camera angles, making it fast-paced, no title sequence, you're straight into it. Also, and you come to realise you've been conned from the first second you started watching it, and you've been told, don't watch this. You've been infected with the virus from as soon as you started watching it, because the virus was not the Sandmen, it was the video recording what kept interfering on the screen. It was infecting your eye, your eyes and that. But I think it was brilliant, eerily done, very reminiscent of Aliens. I can't fault the writing, sorry, Beef, but I thought Gatiss did all right there. Acting was brilliant. I can't say anything. And Reece Shearsmith as you say, the bumbling professor, but turns out he's the villain all the way through, and he's been lying all the way through. And the way he dies at the end, that just the caving of the face, brilliant. For me, I'm giving it a 10. Sorry guys, it's a 10.
Wow, 4 from a 10. Wow, really split we are here starting this out. But cool, man, that's pretty freaking awesome. All right, we haven't seen our buddy Steve Stotts in a while, man. How you doing, and how's it going there up in Canada, man?
Oh, everything's cool, guys. Good to see everybody. It's not exactly chilly out yet, but we're getting there. No one needs to put their snow tires on just yet, so it's all good. And yeah, this weekend, sleep no more. Wow, what can I say? An experiment, as Lee said. Definitely an experiment. Perfect word to use for this one. An ambitious story. I think that so far I've been expecting a two-parter. I mean, we've had that already the whole way through season 9. So I was sort of expecting this to be as well. I mean, it was sort of slow. I could see where they could maybe make it a two-parter, but then all of a sudden it wasn't. I didn't really know what to expect from this. Actually, we had a friend over yesterday who's never watched Doctor Who before, and I said, well, the boys were excited to watch it, and I obviously was. So I said, well, let's put it on. So this was her introduction to the show, and probably not the best introduction for someone who's never seen it before. I found it quite confusing and everything too. I mean, come to find out where the video is actually coming from, it's like random bits of sand that are broadcasting this as you go along. I thought maybe it could have been the space station's cameras as you went along throughout the corridors and stuff like that, but why not? It took it a little step further. That was kind of cool. I mean, obviously great acting the whole way through. The glasses are still there. References to the Silurians. Yeah, a little bit of alien thing in there where they're running from the creatures, and yeah, like the Sandman. I mean, they were kind of neat. I mean, everyone knows about the little bits of sand in your eye when you wake up in the morning and that. So what's next? Is it Attack of the Bedhead Monsters, or things like that? It was a kooky episode. I think we've got to have one of those in there, but it was definitely ambitious from the camera viewpoints and piecing it all together. And like Lee said too, that was her little trick. So we're all infected now, all the blips and stuff on the screen. So I don't know where they're going to go for this. Mike, you said that there could be a follow-up somewhere down the line. Cool, why not? All in all, as you go along, you can't have a show go on for 52 years without having crossovers at some point. At some point, so who knows? Maybe they could come back, but I'm not even sure exactly what year this is supposed to be in. I think I missed that. I only watched it once, so they did mention space pirates and things like that. Could have been a throwback.
38th century, they said.
30. Oh, that's right. Okay, 38. I'm not sure when the space pirates was for Patrick Troughton's time, but it was obviously far in the future. But you never know. Maybe it had a little something to do with that. That whole funny bit there too. Well, you can't just throw space in front of it, and then space pirates come up. So, I mean, it had its comedy elements to it. We were sort of thrown into it a little quick though. The people were kind of going along, and all of a sudden we overhear Clara and the Doctor having a little conversation somewhere, and that's what they do. They just pop in. So we get to see that from the co-stars' standpoint for a change. Because normally we just see the Doctor and his companions arrive somewhere, maybe after something's happened or whatever. But yeah, this time all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute. So we sort of stumble upon them that way. Yeah, ambitious episode. Definitely different than anything we've seen so far this season, probably any season. I'll definitely give them points for trying something out new. I mean, hey, Doctor Who is the one to do that. They're like the flagship of everything else. So, rating-wise, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen it the second time, but I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
All right, 8 out of 10. Not too shabby there, Steve. Thank you, sir. All right, I know we had our buddy Sammy Carter. He's been upset last night after his first viewing. I don't know if you get a chance to watch it again, Sammy. Any second thoughts on it?
This story, let's just say it feels like, I'm trying to find a good way to describe it without being harsh, but to me it feels like you're driving on the motorway and things are looking good for you. Like middle of the night, things are looking good, and then all of a sudden you just had a crash. It kind of felt like a car accident. It kind of felt like, because I wasn't even convinced. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, and I feel so poor because, Rhea Shearsmith, I love the guy in An Adventure in Space and Time as the Second Doctor. I thought he did it spot on. But this character, the one he plays in this episode, I feel sorry for Rhea Shearsmith. I just don't think this character was suited for him at all. It just made him, made him look weird on camera. It made him look like, I couldn't even tell if he was the villain or not. I was like, okay, is he a good guy, bad guy? Come on, make sense of it. It's not even simple. Even the Doctor says it doesn't make sense. Now, I find now, doesn't that just puzzle you there, that Capaldi's Doctor actually says in the script, it doesn't make sense? What the hell was it? Don't think about making a sequel for this story whenever you do, because I've heard reports that you want to do it, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, I don't want to see any more of this. I want you to move away from Sleep No More. Right, I'm going to move out of this script, and I'm going to make an entirely new script that is epic. I'm going to bring. I want to see the Mark Gatiss who brought back like the Ice Warriors. I want to see a Mark Gatiss who is going to bring back a classic Doctor Who villain next year. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this, confused Mark Gatiss who doesn't know what he's doing. I want to see a Mark Gatiss who actually speaks to Moffat and say, no, Moffat, you're going to bring this character back. Because I want this character. You bring him back. That's what I want. I want to see that Mark Gatiss who fought to Stephen Moffat that he should have the Ice Warriors back. I want to see that Mark Gatiss who was willing enough to actually do Night Terrors. Yeah, that's the Mark Gatiss scripts I want to see. I don't want to see a Mark Gatiss script that I can't understand, because it's not him. It's not him at all. And I think quite a number of people in this room are going to be surprised when I say this. I'm actually going to give this a 1 out of 10.
Wow. All right, Sammy. Sammy hated this episode, guys. All right, there we go. Thank you, Sammy, for all that. Wow, who wants to follow up that rant? Okay, take it away, man. Texas Tim.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep this brief. This isn't an episode of Doctor Who. This is a found footage horror movie that the Doctor and Clara just happened to stumble into. That's why there's no opening credits. And I agree with Beefhead's points about the cliches, because that's what it is. It's a B horror movie. And a lot of it doesn't make sense. The Doctor even says so at the end of it. This doesn't make sense before they leave. The Doctor and Clara can't be bothered to finish out the story because it's not their story. That's the whole point of the thing. I mean, I was thinking yesterday it was kind of like a David Lynch movie where you kind of don't get all the pieces to the puzzle. You kind of have to put it together yourself. But it's not even that. It's just more of a, it's not even an episode of Doctor Who. I think that's the point. I think that's why they didn't have the credits at the beginning. I think that's why they stumble into Clara and the Doctor just wandering around this place because none of them belong there. That's why characters just disappear from the narrative for no reason at all. Like, I mean, they're with that woman right before they get into the TARDIS. She just disappears. It doesn't make any sense. But it is what it is. It's a piece of entertainment. It's not bad. It's pretty well made. I get that some people don't like the found footage way of filming things, and that can be irritating. It's not something you're used to. It's definitely something we don't see in Doctor Who. But as an idea, like Lee said, it's a very brave attempt to try something different. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doctor Who should do that once a year. So I'm going to stick with my vote for yesterday. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think that's about what it deserves. I wouldn't go as high as Lee, but this is right in Lee's wheelhouse. He loves the horror movie kind of thing. So that's why he gave it a 10, I'm guessing. But I would stick with an 8 at this point because I don't think it was bad at all. It definitely wants a second watch. But you just keep in mind that what you're watching isn't really Doctor Who. So that's my theory anyway.
Makes sense. It makes sense. All right, thank you, buddy. All right, Jimmy, any thoughts watching this a second time, man?
If it doesn't make sense to the Doctor, how's it supposed to make sense to us? At first watch, I blamed the director for the reason I didn't enjoy it. The way the camera kept shaking, the camera angles, the picture going zap every now and then. On the second watch, it's both the director and Mark Gatiss, the author. At the very end, you find out that this didn't happen. This is all made up. It was just a story made up just so you could keep watching and get infected. I don't know why they consider this found footage. It's not found footage. It's the footage that was deliberately sent to you, the viewer, so that you could watch it. And then at the end, he says he's going to send it to everyone in the solar system. So it's not something that was lost and has just been discovered. It's a deliberate message. It's not an episode. It's not an adventure of Doctor Who, since it never happened. It was just a story the guy told. I would call this a filler episode. It's not one of the two-parters. It's one you could skip, and it's not going to affect anything else in the story. In the opening credits, or there is no opening credits, but in the opening you have that computer thing and it spells out Clara Oswald. That has no meaning since the story never happened. Nothing in the episode has any meaning since the story never happened. I have to agree with Sammy. I'm going to give it a 1. It's not one that I'm going to watch ever again unless I have to. It's a 1 for me.
All right, so far we got Snake Eyes in the cast. All right.
I just point out all the characters' names are in there. I mean, it even highlights the Doctor going down as if it's a, what do you call it, word search.
Yeah, Mark Gatiss is there as well. So you've got a by Mark Gatiss sort of like stashed in there, sort of in codex type thing.
There you go. Pretty neat, pretty neat. All right, thank you there, Mr. Porto. All right, Neo, I see you're ready. What did you think of this tale of Doctor Who?
You must sing the song. I can't let you in if you don't sing the song. Well, first, I give it a 7.5. I love it. I really do. I mean, I know I give it a 7.5. I can't go any higher than that. I did enjoy it. I can't get the song out of my head. Thank you, Doctor Who. That song's still in my head. It won't go away. And that voice of the computer was cool. Now, the first-person perspective. I liked it because it looked like when Capaldi was staring at Claire, he was looking at me. I felt like I was there. I was like, oh, he's looking at me with those eyebrows. Girl thing. I don't know at the end. I was kind of confused at the end if the girl survived or not. I did not see that. I don't know if they all got on the TARDIS or what. I don't know. That bit right there, I wasn't too sure about that part, but overall, 7.5, it was decent. I mean, I can understand the complaints in the first person, and it didn't make sense, but it's not supposed to make sense. It's Doctor Who, and it's for enjoyment. And I am a stickler for being very strict on reviews, but I actually like this one. I was playing my game when I was watching it, and the shaky vision made me stop playing my game and look up and be like, hey, what's going on? You know? So if it makes me look up,
Cool.
I'm interested. So, like I said, 7.5 out of 10.
All right, 7.5. Thank you, Neo. Awesome. What game are you playing, by the way? I am curious. Up you left.
RuneScape.
All right, cool. All right, awesome. All right, let's see. Who do we have now? We got a couple of handsome fellas left. All right, we'll go with handsome Graham McLaughlin next. Take it away, man.
Well, this one was a noodle scratcher for me, Mike. I'm in the middle of the road with this. I watched it this morning, somewhat hungover. It really woke me up, put it that way. I'll give kudos for the attempt at a new idea. I echo Beef's sentiments. Maybe the writing wasn't solid in every aspect of the thing. But I also agree with Tim and Lee and some of their sentiments as well. The cast, you can't really complain. They were quite good. They were quite solid in this. Reece Smith, the bumbling professor, he played a good part. You can't really grumble with him. The ending, jeez. In the end, it didn't really happen. And as soon as I seen it, I'm going, well, it's going to pee a few people off. But I had somewhat of an ends to a means. But I would have to agree that for me, this probably is the weakest of the season so far for me. I'll be at 6.5, mate. It's no by far the worst thing I've ever seen on TV, but the found footage thing's just no for me.
I got you, Graham. I understand, dude. All right, thank you, sir. All right, let's see what little Brian has to say about this one, man. What did you think of this, pal?
Oh, joy, me. Okay. So, let's see what I thought of this episode. Yes. Crap on a stick. I absolutely hated this episode. This episode just was the worst. In fact, it doesn't even deserve to be called Doctor Who. It was just plain out there. I hated the story, hated the characters, everything. The villain was crap. Like even Sammy, I would agree with Sammy. The Spider-Man villain from Spider-Man 3 would have been better than the stupid sand creatures in this. The only good thing I would say about the episode would be the song, because I even recognize the song. It's an old-timey song, but I know it. And I mean, every time I listen to that song, I could just think of Halloween 2, Michael Myers. But other than that, I hated this episode and everything. The story just crap, total crap. So I would just give this episode you know what? I can't even think of a rating. This episode doesn't even deserve a rating. It's a crap. But if I were to give one, it would probably just be a stupid one.
All right, a stupid one. All right. Well, thank you, little Brian, for that. All right. I did save the most handsomest gentleman for last, which is Mr. Beef Dad himself. Now, have you watched it again, and what are your thoughts on it now?
I said last night that I would rather tear my eyes out than watch it again. I have not watched it again. The misconception that you could translate something like that into a Doctor Who episode has really annoyed me. Mark Gatiss is better than this. He is better than this. The story was disjointed. The direction was disjointed. I felt so sorry for Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, because they had been given a piece of crap to work with and to do their best with it. And as always, Peter Capaldi did his best with it. Jenna did her best with it. The rest of the cast did their best with it. And yeah, that was the thing. The annoying thing is people like Chopra, Deepando, and 474 were really good characters. They could have done so much more if they'd had a better script and a better conception. Yes, I understand that Doctor Who can experiment sometimes, but for God's sake, you do not experiment at the expense of the fans, and that's what they've done. Yeah, like Lady Neo, there was one absolutely classic comic moment with the computer refusing to let them in because of the so that they would sing the Sandman song. You've got to sing the song or I won't let you in. That was so funny, and it was almost like how a computer, really. Oh, yeah, I remember the song. It's not so much of an earworm for me as it is for other people. It came out in 1954 when I was 7 years, 7 years old. And it was on the radio everywhere. So, I mean, I still remember all the bloody words and that. And it was one of those songs that you couldn't get away from then, but you can now. So it never switched off. The only other time I saw it was with Michael Myers. And it made me laugh then. It didn't make me laugh this time because the whole thing was built up so badly that what could have been a very funny moment wasn't. I have another big bugbear about this, and that is the convincing the audience that they have now been infected with this sand thing because of the thing going across the screen every now and then. And I mean, I spoke to Lee about this earlier. My concern is that there are people with mental health issues who watch Doctor Who and really get involved and into Doctor Who. And to tell them that, right, okay, you've now been infected with a virus and you're going to die is possibly not necessarily the best of ideas. So on the sort of mental health aspect, that rather worries me because I know some very strange people. And I have met some very strange people over my life who, yes, and they will, it will play on their minds. It will definitely play on their minds. And I think that sort of mind play isn't what you expect to find in a Doctor Who episode. Yeah, playing with your mind as far as a plot line is concerned, that's one thing. But to actually tell an audience directly that they have been infected is not a good idea. The denouement, the end, didn't exist. And because it didn't exist, where does it go from there? What happens? We know that Clara's supposed to have been infected, but he doesn't seem to have done anything to clear the infection from Clara. There is the whole thing just does not make any sense. There is no logical progression to it. Yeah, I understand it's a found footage thing. I understand it is something that this guy's put together. But for God's sake, you need a hero in Doctor Who, and the hero is supposed to be the Doctor. And in this, the hero was not the Doctor. There wasn't a Doctor. If there was a bloody hero in this at all, it was the Grunt. So, for me, wildly disappointing, and actually makes In the Forest of the Night look like a good episode. At least it is a Doctor Who episode, which this isn't. So for me, it gets a 2. And it only gets the extra 1 from my son,
because I thought the computer joke was really funny.
No, the best one was consider yourself part of the furniture, and his face at the end of it. That was the best joke.
All right, put it your way.
All right, then. Too. Seems like I would have to safe to say most of our buddies here lean towards not really digging this episode, but then you got a couple buddies here that really like the episode. Now, for me, as much as I love Doctor Who and I love the hell out of horror movies, and there are some of the found footage type of movies that I do enjoy, but not very many, because with all the shaky cam going on and shit like that, it makes me dizzy. It's hard for me to focus, me personally, even seeing 3D movies and shit. It nauseates me. It sucks that it's that way, but that's kind of what a lot of this episode did to me. And not because I didn't like the story. I do like the idea, and I do appreciate, and I hope they keep trying different things with Doctor Who. I think that's awesome. Try different things. Cool. I'll tell you what I didn't dig watching it again was I don't think there's any reason that you should not have the Doctor Who intro, man. I think Doctor Who intro should be a staple because it's a Doctor Who intro. But like you said, some of you guys, it wasn't really a Doctor Who episode. Then why not just made this like a one-off, something else, like a spin-off or something for like a special? Because it wasn't like a Doctor Who episode. Again, like somebody got, the acting was decent and all. The story, I can understand if you want to think about this on paper. This probably looked good months ago before they filmed it. Great idea! What a cool concept this was. I don't think it panned out too well, in my opinion. I really don't. And you know me, I'm not one to crap on anything Doctor Who if I can avoid it, other than when we're talking about the K9 adventures. I'll totally shit on that shit. But even when it came to like Love and Monsters, an episode a lot of people, I mean, God, we went through so many positives in that one. But this one, for me, watching a second time, it's not something I hate, but God, man. This is definitely my least favorite of this season. It's definitely, score-wise, man, I'm like stuck at a 4, man. I am really stuck at a 4. There were a couple things I did really like in it, but damn, the Sandman creatures were cool. I wish to hell we saw a little bit more of them. Just the way they can lurk. They should have had them son of a bitches lurking more at the camera, like really coming towards you, because they were creepy mofos. They really were. And like Lee said yesterday, you kind of look like one of the creatures from like the Silent Hill series, you know? Just to lurk in the dark. Very creepy concept for a monster. Again, the whole idea of you're watching this and you're going to die was, I don't want to say they rip off anybody, but then it kind of reminds you of, some of the different Japanese, let's say, movies where you might find a tape, and if you watch it, you got 7 days to live, some concepts like that, which is cool. And I like my Doctor Who to be scary. But this one was a bit confusing. And then, like you said, to kind of mix it up at the end like it never happened. I don't know. Could down the line, could they do it, not like a sequel to it, but like a touch on it where something gets mentioned? I don't know. It might be a bit fixed. Maybe, but for it being so confusing for just us to watch, and I understand. I don't expect everything in Doctor Who, and I don't bitch much because there's a lot of unanswered shit from Doctor Who since the beginning. So it's whatever. But when it comes to this, to me, I could have watched this. This is almost like you're watching another show and the Doctor made a guest appearance, like you're watching Flash and there's Arrow for like a couple minutes. So it wasn't like a Doctor Who, and I don't think the idea I really don't think they should ever not put the titles. I don't care if they change the title sequence around and throw a companion head in there, to something to giggle at, or get it to fans, to put Claire in there or something. But I don't think that. I think it should always have, because it's going to be rough. And I don't know, would you guys ever seriously? Well, maybe Lee. Lee loved this one, but this is one would I ever think about really checking this one out again? It would not be on the top of my list. It wouldn't be on the top of my list. And it's hard for me because I'm so positive when it comes to Doctor Who, and I don't like when people bitch about it, because I like to try to see positives in Doctor Who. But yeah, like Beef Dad said, this made the Forest episode look like a real good Doctor Who episode, man, and that's really sad. And I don't know what else I can say. Using the old classic, Mr. Sandman music, that was cool. I love them tunes too, man. They're creepy tunes, especially if you reference them with the Michael Myers movies and such. But yeah, I think I'm at a 4, guys. I hate to say it, and we're coming down to the last. I guess we got 3 episodes left. So that's what it is. It seems like you got really people that don't like this episode or just love it. I don't know. It's a rough one. So I guess for right now, it is what it is, man. And you know what? And like I said, most of it, my dislike for it is just because the way it was filmed, because it just, and I'm watching it on my big screen TV, and the whole thing's like so goddamn shaky, man. It really F's me up. I watched a little bit on a laptop. It's a little easier to watch on your laptop, but you got it on an 80-inch TV. It messes with you if you can't watch, those types of movies that have those found footage features in them or whatever. But sorry to say, it's a 4 from me. Now the floor is open if you guys want to spit out.
It's supposed to be a B horror movie. It's not supposed to be good, and it's not supposed to make sense. That's the whole point of it at the end. I mean, it dawned on me the 3rd time watching that this is not supposed to be an episode of Doctor Who.
It succeeds in that.
They stumble into it, yeah.
No, well, I do feel Tim has a point. It's trying to do a very high concept. Tim made a actually really good analogy, making it akin to David Lynch, to sort of like, a little bit Twin Peaksy, nothing makes sense. And the idea is that because it doesn't make sense, you're watching it again and again and again and supposedly reinfecting yourself. Now, I know you said, people with, potential issues and watching stuff like that and everything like that. Well, no, that could be said of any program and anything like that. It's, if people have difficulty establishing between the borders of reality and fantasy and everything like that, then maybe they need to monitor what they're watching. But I can't fault any of the acting and everything like that. But the idea is that I can't fathom out exactly the explanation behind where the monster comes from doesn't actually equate to it. So, I'm not like, and Graham said the same thing, I don't have to have an explanation for everything that I see and or I don't see. But it just didn't plug all the wires together. I didn't have a problem with it being found footage.
But isn't that the point of a found footage, that you don't get all the pieces to the puzzle? So it's supposed to.
I get the idea is that this never. Well, it did happen, but the situation is engineered whereby to create a story. I get that, but the explanation for the Sandmen, as into how they came into being, I'm not getting that. So if you can't originate a monster, how can you create terror or menace and or threat from it? And that was the thing that was lacking for me. And that is purely, for me anyway, attributable to the writing. Because, technology creates the monster, but it doesn't completely explain how technology creates the monster. Okay, so you're going in there for 5 minutes, but and you won't sleep for a month afterwards. But the amount of sleep dust you would generate in a month as to what you would generate in 5 minutes. Okay, so you're making a concentrated amount of sleep dust in 5 minutes. It's carnivorous dust, okay, but you're going to make that in a month anyway, so it's going to be there regardless. So how come there's such a huge concentration whereby it creates a monster? It just doesn't add up how you have a monster come into being whereby, okay, you could say the story is the monster, but then again, it makes what is inside not make sense. It just doesn't connect the wires properly. And don't get me wrong, I hate to shit on the show and everything like that, But it's Norma, one of these guys who has to see everything, know intricate detail, what colour pants they were wearing and everything like that. But it just doesn't factor.
Isn't that part of the point, though? Isn't that part of the point?
Well, the only thing I can theorise is, like you say, is that because it doesn't make sense, you go back and you watch it again and watch it again and watch it again and then reinfect yourself. But then it's trying to make Doctor Who a high concept thing that is not accessible to everyone. In anything, it is, I will agree to a certain degree, the show should be experimental, try and do new things, but not to the extent whereby it's going to alienate, say, younger audiences and everything like that.
But there is older audiences, if I might add, older audiences. I mean, I have been absolutely open to everything The Who has done since it came back, and this is the first time I've ever seen that I've seen an episode that is this bad. As I say, I wasn't a big fan of Forest of the Night, but this makes Forest of the Night look good.
Hang on. I've got a question for Beef there. Jeff.
Yes, my friend.
Does this one now topple that great classic Delta and the Bannerman off the top of the mountain for you?
Oh God, yes, because at least Delta and the Bannerman was a Doctor Who episode.
Music styling was similar as well.
Knows that out of the everything, that Delta and the Bannerman was the one that I hated most out of everything. But I would rather watch Delta and the Bannerman than watch this again.
But at the end, when he says he made up the story just so people could be infected, ironically, he's saying I'm the storyteller and I don't know how to tell a story.
Exactly. That's my point. It doesn't make sense. The Doctor even says so and says, let's go.
So it's bad on purpose.
No, but look,
Yeah, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a good story. It's not supposed to be a bad
Well,
story.
I agree with you on that front.
It's supposed to be a B found footage horror film that the Doctor and Clara just wander into, I think. It may be a cheat, I guess, because why waste an episode like that? But on the other hand, was it that not entertaining? I mean, Lee enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but it took me a couple of watches to find out that, hey, this isn't even supposed to be Doctor Who. It's supposed to be something else. And it does tick all the boxes of something you watch as a horror film. I mean, as a low budget found footage horror film. So
when he said he made up the story, to me, I got that it never happened.
It never happened.
He created the thing with the monsters, but there were never monsters. The Doctor and Clara were never really there. This didn't even happen to them.
But that was the other thing that
story, but it didn't happen to them.
This is the other thing that bugged me as well, is that, to a certain degree, I'm not saying that we have to have certain points and everything like that as a subtext to an episode, but there's not that to this. You guys know I went to the writer panel, the Doctor Who festival, and Mark Gates was there saying, hey, I wrote this in mind, and it was a satire on capitalism.
That's true,
There wasn't really satire to it, so it wasn't even that.
But isn't it satire like something like it's in the future, and they've decided that you can be more productive if you get rid of the 8 hours.
Oh you're a work machine and everything like that. So you use a Morpheus machine.
That's capitalism gone wrong. I mean, that's the whole point. That's why the guy complains about it when Clara says that's awful. He says, at last somebody that sees how wrong this is. That's the satire bit, I guess. But you're right. I mean, it's kind of heavy-handed.
All I could say is this was a rough one because you got it pretty split down the middle there. But you know what? That happens sometimes with Doctor Who, man. It does. That's just the life of it. But that's cool. That's what's cool about Doctor Who. It's cool that somebody can hate an episode and the next guy can love the episode. That's cool, man. They must be doing something right, dude, to at least get some of that. Because these are some old school Doctor Who fans that are loving this episode and some newer fans. So it's a cool kind of mix, man. So awesome. Awesome. We love Doctor Who here. And that's why we do these shows, because we love talking about Doctor Who.
Yes.
So until next time, everyone, and thank you all for joining us, subscribing, and liking us and everything. And leave some comments down there. Keep on Whoing, everybody.